Hello everybody, we are the CasualTheoryCrafters. My name is Sebi, and to kick off the new year we bring you this first impression video about the latest custom map for DayZ called Isla Duala. The map itself was made by the very well known Icebreaker, who was also responsible for bringing us maps like Lingo or Pantera Island. This time he takes us to a little trip down to South Africa, and the scenery is a nice mix between Turkestan and Lingo Island. Because on one hand you've got this harsh and dry environment with lots of sandy and stony underground, and in contrast to that you find some jungles or an oasis here and there with a little lake to rest, chill and resupply your water. But let's just continue by getting the camera up to some higher ground and providing you with a little overview of some of the things you find on this map. As you can see in the background, there are quite some larger cities and towns, and they include everything you would expect from a proper city. So there are hospitals, fire stations, a harbor with some industrial loot, or a school. You also find some airports and airfields on this map, and this one here is connected to one of the major cities of the central island. And speaking of layout, this 10 by 10 kilometer sized map consists of one big central island divided by a river, and then around that we find several smaller islands, either connected to the mainland with one of those bridges or just with open water surrounding them. What else to say about the layout and the map? Well, Icebreaker still knows what he's doing, and this is another nice place to be, just like you see here with this river delta and the small huts down there in the jungle. So Ponzo from Open Days ported this one to DayZ, and so far I really enjoyed playing on it, but I've got a couple of problems with it. The first one being, as it was primarily designed as a military map for Arma 2, you end up with loads of military buildings, barracks and all that stuff, and when you combine it with the loot system DayZ provides, you've got loads and loads of weapons and ammunition, and this turns this map just into one big PvP battleground. But I'm sure Ponzo will have a look at those numbers and loot tables and fix that to provide us with a fair and well-balanced PvP/survival map. Apart from that, there's another issue with all those military compounds and encampments, because they are usually surrounded with quite some long walls and fences, and there are no halls or loops in there to slip through. So when you want to get from A to B, you have to take the extra mile just because there's a compound in your way. One small bug that came over from Lingo and Pantera is still in Isla Duala, and that is with the Lingo barracks. As you may already know, the doorways in there are just a tiny bit too narrow to pass through, so like in this scene I was going in, grabbing a map, and after that wanted to exit through the front door, but no matter how I couldn't manage to get out there and was trapped and stuck with a couple of zombies behind me. All in all, the map is still quite nice and runs very smooth, and you can expect everything you would expect from any other DayZ map. So you'll find the regular heli crash sites here and there with interesting military loot, and you also find some nice Easter eggs or signs, like this one in the scene here that tells you, be careful, deep water at high tide. Oh, and also please don't feed the river crocodiles. On a more technical note, Ponzo did a great job at porting this map, and you can, for instance, harvest wood at nearly every tree you come across, then cook some meat or even resupply some water at one of the pumps out there. It runs really smooth, it makes a lot of fun, but you also have to keep in mind, just like on Turkestan, we are moving on rough terrain and there's loads of sand and stone underneath you, so it's hard to avoid those zombies out there, and because there are not that many forests, it's hard to lose them afterwards. So keep that in mind, and as the towns are quite flooded with all those zombies, it's always a good idea to pick up that extra clip of ammunition before you head into the town. That was our little first impression video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in one of our future videos right here on this channel.